राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय राधा भरिणीश्वर राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्र जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा श्री श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की जय राधा मदन भगवान की जय जय हो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय इस्कॉन पंद्रह श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय हो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सरस्वती प्रभुपाद महाराज ठाकुर की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय नामाचार्य सुदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण प्रभु गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम गिरिवर्धन की जय वृंदावन मत गौर द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथ धाम की जय नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय गंगा यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देव तुलसी देवी की जय सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय गौर प्रेमानंद हरे all glories to it's all glories to all glories all Shri Guru and Gauranga Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Stapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Varijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabam Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham Karoti Vachalam Mangam Vangayati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Munde Paramananda Madhavam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Praeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. Paying my obeisances to all the assembled devotees. We will be going through the chapters of the pastimes of Lord Kapila, basically the teachings of Lord Kapila, who taught the Sankhya philosophy. And the importance of this teaching is that the instructions were given to his mother Dehavuti, who was a lady, and her specific question was that how a woman or not very intelligent, which means it's not limited to only women, it also applicable to all who are not very intelligent, manda sumanda matayo. So how we can get liberation free from this conditional life, from the clutches of material nature. So Lord Sri Kapila, the Supreme Godhead, speaks about Sankhya philosophy. So we have covered 21, 22 in the last class with the past time. Today we'll be taking 23, 24 and 25. Chapter 25 is very, very important chapter. It is the glories of the devotional service, and the whole essence of Lord Kapila's teaching is given there. So we will go through, now we will be just 1 minute. Hare Krishna. Yeah. This is the shloka which we have started. We will be starting from, actually the regular class will be starting from 3rd Canto, 30th chapter, first verse. Kapila uvacha tasya tasya jano nunam nayam vedor vikramam kalyamano pibalino vayuriva gana valihi. The translation: the Supreme Personal Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried away. So this is the shloka which we'll be discussing in detail when we come to this, but we started with the background to this chapter. So I'll go back to that. So in the last class, we stopped to this point, the qualities of Mother Dehahuti and qualities of Kardamamani. So the essence was Mother Dehahuti was chaste. She is the mother of Lord Kapila, wife of Kardamamani, daughter of Swayambhu Manu, and she had specific instruction. She heard from Narada Muni about Kardamamani, and also her marriage was predestined by the will of Lord Vishnu and also Lord Brahma. And then Kardamamani was the great sage, son of Lord Brahma. He desired to follow the instruction of his father for progeny, and Lord Brahma was very happy with him that he followed that instruction. He underwent great austerities. He pleased Lord Vishnu. The Lord Vishnu, who killed Madhu and Kaitava, appeared, blessed him, and foretold him that he will be marrying the daughter of Swayambhu Manu, Mother Dehahuti, and he will bear 9 daughters who will be married to great sages. And as his son, the Lord himself will appear to give the knowledge of Sankhya, the philosophy of Sankhya, devotional service for the benefit of all human creation. So that was, we discussed the characters. Now today we'll start from chapter 23. The chapter title is Dehavati's Lamentation. So first, Kardama Muni, he says, now as last class, as we briefed, that Mother Dehavuti was serving Kardama Muni very sincerely. She did not had any material desire while serving Kardama Muni sincerely, with great affection. And then her service pleased very much Kardama Muni, and then Kardama Muni was actually speaking to Mother Dehavuti because he had great mystic power by the devotional service. So he is saying, and he could understand the desire of Mother Dehavuti, even though she was serving sincerely and without any desire for enjoyment, but she had desire to get children, and also she was already foretold before that she will have a son who will be the cause of her liberation. So Kardama Muni, when he was very much pleased with the service of Mother Dehavuti, then in order to please her, he speaks these verses. He says, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? What it means here is that, here in this particular context, is that Kardama Muni also desired to marry and get progeny. Mother Dehavuti also, while serving Kardama Muni, had the desire to get children. So here, what is the use of other than the Lord's grace means, in a way, Kardama Muni is expressing here that Mother Dehavuti and Kardama Muni, they were both blessed by the Lord for the progeny. It's not that there is any sense gratification prevailing in both of them. So he says, what is the use of other than the Lord's grace means, if there is no Lord's grace and if there is enjoyment, then it is no use. For example, in the Vaidhi Varnash, in the Daivi Varnashrama Dharma, a Grasta family lives together and they are living in a married way. So that is considered as the Lord's grace. If one keeps Krishna conscious life and is spending in that Grasta Ashrama, Prabhupada, we will read that they are also Tridandi sannyasis, one who follows strictly Vaidhi Daivi Varnashrama Dharma and follow the Grasta Ashrama, then not Grahame, this Grasta Ashrama, then they are also considered as that is also considered as the Lord's grace. It is not out of it. Hare Krishna. All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of the Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if he is blessing, that enjoyment will never go. We know in the case of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was allowed to rule the kingdom 36 years without getting old. That was the blessing of the Lord. So here, Kardama Muni is saying, all material achievement subject to be annihilated simply by movement of the eyebrows of the Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Person Godhead. But when the Lord blesses, that enjoyment will never finish. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. So this is here very significant, is that Kardamamani is glorifying the service of Mother Dehuti. So here he says, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. That means Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. Whatever benefit it can give, it may not last. But one who gets the benefit of devotional service, that is eternal and there is no limit. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phala pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam vidam viditva yogi param sthanam upeti chadyam. So this is 8th chapter, the last verse. Krishna says, Vedeshu yajna tapasya, that whatever benefits one get by studying the Vedas, by the austerity, by the penance, all this, or studying the Vedas, all this will be got by a devotee who engages in the pure devotional service of the Lord. So the same thing is repeated here, that because you have served your husband in devotion and your husband was serving the Supreme Lord, that is why that you can enjoy what is otherwise rarely obtained by others. And the shlokas, we are not going continuously, we are only taking the important one. Then Kardama Muni wanted to bless Mother Dehuti with the grahastha, the full grahastha life. So in that, Dehuti asked Kardama Muni that please rejuvenate my body to be suitable to beget a child, and also she requests for a house. And then Kardama Muni creates an aerial mansion. So we can understand here, he said in earlier he said that what is, we will hear also further, that for a devotee there is nothing called impossible when the Lord is pleased with him. So here Kardama Muni actually rejuvenate the body of Mother Dehuti because she had become very lean, weak, she lost her luster. So he rejuvenated body by asking her to dip in the Saraswati river, and there the Gandharva, not the Gandharva, it's there is another, Gandharva ladies, they serve her. She comes back to her normal body of the princess, much more effulgent. And then also Kardama Muni actually created the aerial mansion, like a house. On the instruction Kardama Muni, Devati takes bath in Saraswati, served by thousands maids, become most beautiful. And then opulence of, this is very nice. Opulence of Kardama Muni was glorified as what is difficult to achieve for determined men who have taken refuge in the Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet. So here, good example here is like Durvasa Muni, that even though, Hare Krishna, Gopijana Prabhu, the devotee's name, Hare Krishna. So here, what is difficult to achieve?
You mean for Ambarish Prabhu?
Yes, Ambarish Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, what is difficult to achieve for determined men to take a refuge Supreme Godhead lotus feet? That means that even the Durvasa Muni, he wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj, he was having to kill, but it could not be done because he has taken refuge in the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. The same way here, because he has taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he desired a house, he could create the aerial mansion, which is actually unimaginable for a materialist person because it was like a big village with all the facilities there. And it could travel by the will of Kardama Muni at the speed of his thought, his thinking, mind. And he could go anywhere, it says there, where the air can pass, he could pass. That means there is not a place that he could not go. It's mentioned Srimad Bhagavatam like that. Kardama Muni desired children. Now, when they go, for many years they go, and then after many years, Kardama Muni desired that
he should have the children. So he brings back this Ariel mentioned back to his ashram, and there he manifests himself. It's mentioned that in 9 forms, in a way that he desired 9 forms, not physically but mentally, and that's how Mother Dehavati could conceive 9 daughters. And it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that on the same day all the 9 daughters were born immediately. And once they were born, immediately Kardama Muni desired to leave the house. Now here we'll see 2-3 shlokas. So Dehavati to Kardama Muni, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic purpose do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Godhead, must be considered dead, although he is breathing. So here, this is much more elaborately explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he discussed about the creation from moving and the non-moving, then from the conscious development of conscious, then from the ritualistic life, then to devotional service. The same way here, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate to religious life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Religious life means, particularly we are talking about Daivi, Varnashrama Dharma. And in that also, Daivi Varnashrama Dharma, of course, one worships Vishnu, but previous is Varnashrama Dharma. And anyone who religious ritualistic performance do not raise him to renunciation. That means devotional service has got 2 wings or angas. One is knowledge and renunciation. And here, Mother Devati is saying, ritualistic performance do not raise him to renunciation. That means detachment from material attachments. And anyone situated in renunciation does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Personal Godhead. That is, ultimately, one must be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. Now, by this verse, what we can understand is that when Dehavati was asking Kardama Muni to remain in home for a son, which was foretold, she had complete, it's not that she did not have, she had complete understanding, knowledge that what is the purpose of life. So she knew that devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead was the ultimate purpose of life. This she was very well knowing. Then all the other questions becomes very clear for us. It is not only for, of course, she desired to understand, but it's not only for her sake. She is asking all the questions on our behalf so that Lord Kapila can actually instruct the Sankhya philosophy. Because from this very verse, before we speak of devotional, say the 23rd chapter itself, she is putting that, she is giving that knowledge to us. She says, anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to religious life, anyone whose religious ritualistic performance do not raise him to renunciation, and anyone situated in renunciation does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Godhead, must be considered dead, although he is breathing. So it's very clear here, she had clear idea what is the purpose of life, to surrender unto the lotus of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now, next, she says, my Lord, surely I have been solidly cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personal Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. So here, this verse is very important in the context that if Lord himself appeared to Kardama Muni, then why Kardama Muni could not give that knowledge to Mother Devati so that she could liberate? She says, my Lord, surely I have been sorely cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Godhead. For in spite of having obtained your association, which gives liberation from material, I did not seek such liberation. So here, only one reason what we see from here is that even after serving her husband and pleasing him, still she had the desire to get the children. That small desire she is pointing out here. Of course, that was the will of the Lord. So there is no fault in that side. Otherwise, the one of the symptom which 7th chapter 13th verse before Daivish Gunamaya, the Lord says that Tribir Gunamaya Jagat Mohitam Nam Janti Lokam Avayam, or there is that last sentence may be different, but Tribir Gunamaya. What the shloka says there is that one who is deluded by the three modes of material nature, he cannot understand Krishna. So here Mother Devati, if she was totally under the control of the three modes of material nature, definitely she will not be knowing about Krishna, she will not be knowing the purpose of life. One who is free from the three modes of material nature, he only can understand the purpose of life and he can work for it. That is the essence of understanding devotional service. Then we are in the 24th chapter now. The Lord who killed Madhu and Kaitava appeared as the son of Kardama Muni and Dehavati. Now here, when the Lord appeared, as we said, Kardama Muni, even the Lord was at home, still he left home, he took sannyas. So the question one of the answer we discussed there, that Kardama Muni, he did not want to serve the Lord in the Vasalya Bhava. He wanted to serve in the servitorship. In the Krishna's pastime, we see Krishna was always covered by Yoga Maya, so that the Brajavasis, they were never allowed to understand Krishna was the Supreme Personal Godhead. Only at one instance in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we see, of course, our understanding Srimad Bhagavatam is not complete, but only by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas, whatever we could understand by their mercy, we could see that only when Lord Shri Krishna lifted Govardhana hill, then all their doubts which they had earlier could become more solidified. Then they were coming to a conclusion that Krishna, their son, could not be an ordinary boy or could not be even a demigod. He must be the Supreme Personal Godhead. Only at that point they came. But here, in the case of Kardamami and Mother Dehavati, from the very beginning, they knew that the Lord is going to appear. And when the Lord appeared, they accepted him as the Lord, but not as the Son. That is why even Mother Dehavati, when she will address him as the Supreme Lord. And when the Lord appeared, Kardamamuni actually takes, or both the Lord, Kapila and Kardamamuni, they meet in a very secluded place. Kardamamuni offers him respects, and also Kardamamuni asks the permission to leave. So this particular verse appeared, the Lord who killed Madhu and Kaitava appeared as son of Kardama and Devati. So this verse appears when Mother Devati conceives actually Lord Kapila, and that time Lord Brahma appears. And Lord Brahma appears, he offers prayers to Lord Kapila, who is in mother's womb, and then instructs Kardamamuni and Mother Dehavati. And one of the instruction is that he is telling that all the 9 daughters to be given as a marriage to the great sages. And these are the sages which are listed there: Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulasya, Pulaha, Krutu, Bhragu, Vasista, and Atharva. And then Kardamamuni, now when they are meeting together, Kardamamuni told the Lord, "My dear Lord, who are always increase the honor of your devotees, you descended in my home just to fulfill your word and disseminate the process of real knowledge." So here it's as we have been understand Srimad Bhagavatam, when the Lord appeared as Kardamamuni and Mother Devati knew very well that he is the Supreme Lord. And then Lord Kapila, he says to Kardamamuni, "My appearance in this world is especially to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly esteemed for self-realization by those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary and material desire." So this is the purpose. Now, all of us, ISKCON Balaram Desh devotees who are hearing, in this Purushottam month, we are almost covering from 21 to 29. That means 9 chapters in summary. And of course, as much as my Guru Maharaj and Vaishnavas empower, I will be bringing the summary as much as they empower me, because I'm not either purified or purified enough, or I would say purified enough to express this Bhagavatam. But what is important here is, by the mercy of Guru and the Vaishnavas, if we can get even the essence why this whole instruction of Sankhya was spoken, that essence if we get, at least it can make our devotional service very strong, very strong. So the essence, Lord Kapila himself is saying here, he says, my appearance in this world is especially to explain the philosophy of Sankhya, which is highly esteemed for self-realization by those desiring freedom from the entanglement of unnecessary material desires. We know our very existence in this material world is due to our material desires. And it's not a general statement which I am making, because it is case to case. It is devotee to devotee. At least from the perspective of myself, I'm saying, to eradicate material desires, it is very difficult even after coming to spiritual life. Now, to give you a praman for this, later when Kapila Muni will discuss about devotional service, he will speak devotional service in the three modes, in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, and mode of goodness. Devotional service in the three modes. That means, why devotional service we understand it is totally transcendental to the three modes. Then why discussion of three modes in devotional service also? It's only because of this material desire. Even there are subtle material desires which very difficult to come out. So, but what Kapila Muni is teaching us is that even those after engaging devotional service, they can come out of this entanglement by the philosophy of Sankhya, which is nothing but the pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. The next chapter, which we'll cover today, will be explaining that. Very beautiful instructions. So now we are starting chapter 25. So Devahuti is asking actually here, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, oh my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. As we said, Mother Devahuti, she is a blessed soul. Her son is Lord Kapil, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, she is saying, I am sick of disturbance caused by the material senses, which means that she had only one desire to beget the children after the marriage as a woman, which is very natural. And she considered that also a material desire, even though it was not material desire, because it was foretold by the Supreme Lord. In other words, what we get from this, what message we get is that many things we may consider it's part of the spiritual life, but it may not be. As long as it is instructed by Guru, Krishna and Shastra, and then we engage in any activity, that's only part of devotional service. In that also, sometimes we see devotees feel they are not very comfortable. Like if you see the Vaishnavas prayers, they were very exalted, like especially like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers. We say they were very exalted devotees, but the mood of the prayers which they sing, we can see that they still express their incapability or their disqualification or impurity in service. They express, but they are not. So here she says that caused by material sense, and because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. So this word abyss, if you see the dictionary, it is like bottomless pit. That means if there is a hole and if there is no bottom, if anything is dropped in that hole, it will travel to an unlimited distance. So what she is saying is that the disturbance caused by the material senses, there is no limitation for it. Actually, this is something very wonderful in the sense, if we individually analyze of our life, basically, and if we try to understand the effort which we are trying to be pure and the influence of our senses on us in spite of our all efforts, then we can understand this, that what depth of lamentation Devut is doing here. This is something that we need to individually understand and realize. We cannot explain it, because it all depends on how much sincerity we put for our daily sadhana, and then how much difficulty we have to perform that sadhana to our own soul satisfaction. Externally, we may be thinking, I am finishing my round, I am reading, I am hearing, all this. These are all external, but internally, how much the soul gets the bliss and satisfaction. Brahma bhuta prasannatmana shochatina kankshati sama sarvesh bhutesh mad bhakti labhate param. That means when our devotional service from sadhana becomes to what you call to raga or bhava, that level, when it goes to that level, then we can understand that yes, disturbance in the senses is very less. But in our daily sadhana bhakti, this verse can be understood very easily, that irrespective of our much endeavor to engage in pure devotional service, how much we are haunted by our senses. This is an individual case to case. Every devotee has to introspect himself. This cannot be explained by ourselves to say that practically this is what it is. But as we said in the later chapter, Kapila Muni himself will explain the devotional service in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. There we can understand in a theoretical way, but in a practical way, the difficulties facing in our sadhana bhakti and the satisfaction which we get out of it, this is we can understand from that. So then she says, now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya, and I identify myself with the body and consequent bodily relationships. So this is not very difficult, identifying with the body and with myself and the body and consequent bodily relationship. So she is lamenting because after association with pure devotee like Kardama Muni, still she had desire in her grasta ashrama. This is what she is lamenting. Basically, it is for us. Devati continued, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person whom to take shelter. You are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you. You are the greatest of all transcendentalists, and I inquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman and between spirit and matter. So you are the axe which I highlighted there. You are the axe which cut the tree of material existence. So this refutes this particular prayers are repeated in many places. Even Kunti says that Yadus and Vrishnis, that cut that knot of mind between the Yadus and Vrishnis, she says that. So here also she says the material existence. So basically, before we try to understand the instructions of Lord Kapila, where it is focused, we should be very clear, because that is the whole objective. First, the material existence, and again she is repeating that. First the material desire, then the material existence. Now the Lord starts instructing. We don't have all the shlokas, we take only the essence ones. The personality Godhead answered, the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity, and which causes detachment from happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system. So Lord Kapila directly addressed this. He says that first is that the yoga system must have a connection between the Lord and the devotee. So anything which does not have direct relationship with the Lord, then that is not a yoga also. Plus, whatever we are supposed to achieve by devotional service, we will not be achieving it. So he says the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul. This is the first focal point. And then which is meant for ultimate benefit of living entity, which causes detachment from happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system. That means the nice verse for Bhagavad Gita is in 2nd chapter, 50th verse. buddhi yukta jahati ubeshik dushkrite tasmad yogajasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. The art of work, he says that work which does not create any reaction to either pious or impious results. Second chapter, 50th verse. This Krishna explains there. So the same thing here is explained here, that ultimate benefit is that we should be detached from this material existence. And then 15, the stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when that same consciousness attached to the Supreme Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. So here it looks simple, but it is simple also. But the problem is attaching that to the Supreme Lord. So it means that definitely we are born as part of the material nature, and three modes of material nature creates our body. But we know when we come to spiritual life, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, purification takes place. And also by the mercy of Guru, by the process of Diksha, initiation, we also get purified. And in that purified level, when we use the same senses, because our senses are the same, the material body remains the same. It's only the consciousness which has been purified by the process of chanting the holy name, and by the process, purificated process itself by the Guru and the Parampara, which makes our senses pure. In that purified senses, when we serve the Supreme Lord, then it leads to liberation. So Kapila Muni is saying that, and then he says, perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotion service to the Supreme Person Godhead, for that is the only auspicious path. So here, this is the glories of devotional service, and this is the whole purpose of the Lord Kapila is appearing. So we can understand here how much importance to devotional service has been given as the only auspicious path. That means unless one engages in devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, there is no way one can get liberation. Now I will be going fast for the next 15 minutes to finish this. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement for the spirit soul. So here is the word learned man. Of course, learned man here means one who has got the knowledge of the scriptures, Vedas. Greatest entanglement for the spirit soul. And then he says, but the same attachment when applied to the self-realized devotees open the door for liberation. Now, Lord Kapila, first he explained the importance of devotional service, and that he highlighted the devotional service to the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. Then he also explained the relation between the Jiva and the Lord, the devotee and the Lord. These three things explained. Now he's coming to the point that when we are affected by the three modes of material nature, which is the conditioned state of the living entity, how can it get liberation? What is the process of purification? And who can do that purification? So Lord Kapila is speaking here. He says that every learned man very well know that the attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of spirit soul. That means that we have attachment for the material things or for material persons. But he says the same attachment when applied to the self-realized devotees opens the door for liberation. Now we are coming to the point of sadhus. The symptom of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. So when we study Nectar of Devotion, there Vacho Vegam, Manasakrodha Vegam, that shloka comes, the 6 urges. When he controls, then he becomes eligible to become a guru, spiritual master. So here we have Brahmana, Sadhu Shastra Guru, we have Brahmana in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, we understand the qualities of Brahmanas, tolerant, titiksha, all that we come, the qualities of Brahmana. But here, Kapila Muni is speaking of quality of a Vaishnava. Here, the reason is, a Brahmana, the difference between, here, I'm particularly speaking about this verse, we need to understand what is the difference between a Vaishnava and a Sadhu, or a difference between a Vaishnava and a Brahmana here. Contest to this text 21 Srimad Bhagavatam. A Brahmana may be engaged in his routine activities as a Brahmana, but he may not be qualified unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He may not be qualified to liberate others. Whereas the Sadhu which we are speaking here, a Vaishnava, is that he can liberate others. A Brahmana, a normal Brahmana may not. But we also understood a Vaishnava is also a Brahmana. But a Brahmana may not be a Vaishnava. So that is the difference. So here, the symptom of Sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies. That means he may not, if he does not have enemies, it doesn't mean that there are no enemies to him. Others, out of envious, others may be enemy to him. In all the great personalities who appeared, including Lord Shri Krishna, we could see that they had enemies. We talk about Ramanujacharya, we talk about many great personalities, if we see, because Madhvacharya, I cannot remember exactly, but Ramanujacharya, he has to go here and there. And many, even Lord Shri Krishna had enemies like Shishupala and all. If great personality, even though they are not the enemies of others, but others were enemies of them. He is peaceful. That means he is not disturbed at any condition. So that is the reason they can bring others to peace. He abides by the scriptures and all his characteristics are sublime. Then, engaged constantly by chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with the thoughts of my pastimes and activity. The Lord is coming directly here to the point that one who thinks about the Lord, Satatam Kirtayantomam Etanta Shadrudavrata, thinks about the Lord, his pastimes and activity, they will never come under the influence of material miseries. This is the Lord is giving the message. And then in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activity of Supreme Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to ear and the heart. Machitta Mangata Prana Bodhayantam Paraswaram Katayanta Shamam Nityam Trishyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So Krishna is saying in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that the devotees take great pleasure by associating each other and glorifying the Lord. Then by cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation and thereafter is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then the real devotion and devotional service begin. So he says, by cultivating this knowledge, that means what is the knowledge is that Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashtanase Upadekshte Jnam Jani Tata Darshana. The knowledge is that one, when associate with the sadhu, and when the sadhu gives the instruction, that is the real knowledge. Then it says gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation and thereafter is freed. The very next verse, that's 435, Tadi Pranipratyan, Yajnato Punarmoam, Krishna starts, that once we get this knowledge, then no more is attached to the material attachment, Krishna says. His attraction becomes fixed. And then 26, thus consciously engaged in devotional service to the association of the devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification, both in this world and the next. by constantly thinking about the activities of the Lord. Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktirayatuke. Mama janmani janmanishware. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu repeated this birth after death, because we can understand here, if Kapila Muni is speaking about devotional service and he says there is no more birth again, then why he speaks about the world in the next? Thus consciously engage devotional service in the essence devotees, a person gains distaste for sense gratification both in this world and in the next by constantly thinking about the activity of the Lord. This is the reason. It's very, 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 very important message here. Distaste for the both in the world and the next. Now, why this point we can get a connection here is that there are many times question arised. Why did I come back from the spiritual world? So Prabhupada says is that don't try to get an answer for that question. Krishna says in this life, when you engage devotion, you go back, you'll never come back. And that answer is here. That Kapila is teaching here. That once we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, he says, you distaste for sense gratification both in this world and the next. That means the moment we get liberation by engaging in devotional service of the Lord in this life, that means it's the end of all material desires. That means once we go back to spiritual world, we will never come again victim of sense gratification. That means there is no more conditional life. Very specifically mentioned by Lord Kapila here. The process, this process, Krishna consciousness, the easiest process of mystic power. When one is actually situated on the path of devotion, is able to control the mind. Hare Krishna. So he says here, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge in renunciation, and by practice yoga, in which mind is always fixed on the devotion service to the Supreme Person Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the absolute truth. So Lord Shri Krishna also declares this in Bhagavad Gita, Siddham Kapilo Muni. That means among the liberated or the perfected beings is Lord Kapila. So he says the mind has to be engaged. And in this particular episode, there it's mentioned the senses are represented by the demigods, but the mind is represented by the Supreme Personality Godhead. So when we engage the mind in the Supreme Personality Godhead, then obviously it becomes that we disconnect with material attachments. Dehuti inquired, what kind of devotion is worth developing and practice to help me easily, immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? The mystic yoga system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Godhead and is meant for completely ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand the truth that sublime yoga? So what we will be understanding in the 25, the continuation of this chapter, which is about 40, 43 shlokas. So we will finish in 5 minutes. 26, 27, 28, and 29, the coming chapters, all, it goes into detail, but the essence is already spoken here, which is the devotion service to the Lord by attachment to the sadhus. Dear son Kapil, after all, I am a woman. It is very difficult for me to understand the absolute truth because my intelligence is not very great. So in Bhagavad Gita, Mami Partha Vyapashritte Yopi Papa Yanyo Striya Vaisa Tada Shuddha Tepi Anti Param Gati. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says that the women are also considered less intelligent, but these women which we are talking about is the one who are not devotees of the Lord. Because the reason is here the male or female doesn't come. As long as one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, as long as one knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personal Godhead, as long as one knows that he is the part and parcel of Krishna, as long as one knows that he is being part and parcel of Krishna, his only duty to serve the Supreme Lord, as long as one knows that this material nature is temporary, it's not a permanent position of the living entity, and many like that goes, we can keep on saying, all the knowledge that is very essential for understanding our real existence, that means the existence of soul, is considered very, very intelligent. And that intelligent person, whether he is in the body of the male or female, doesn't matter. So, but if you will kindly explain to me, even though I am not very intelligent, I can understand it, thereby feel transcendental happiness. Bhakti devotion, this is the very essence, and I think then maybe one or two slides. This is what is important here. Bhakti devotional service dissolve the subtle part of the living entity without separate effort, just as fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. Now here, this is the last verse we'll be taking, then I'll conclude for today. Then the next class I'll give a brief and we'll continue. Next class will be 26, 27, 28 and 29, 4th chapter. Only essence will take, then the 30th chapter will be discussed as regularly by the devotees. So here, many times this question arises that when Krishna kills, it becomes liberation. And when an ordinary living entity kills, it becomes a murder. Why it is so? Because even the living entities are also part and parcel of Krishna. They are also spiritual in nature. But then why, when Krishna kills, it becomes liberation? Why a normal, ordinary being, whoever it may be, he kills, it becomes a murder? So from the scripture, particularly in the pastimes of killing of Aghasura demon, killing of Shishupala, these two specifically mentioned that when Krishna killed Shishupala and when Krishna killed Aghasura, the cowherd boys, and when Aghasura was killed, and all the people who were in the court of Yudhishthira Maharaj, they could see that the soul which left the body of Shishupal and also the soul which left the body of Aghasura, they gone into the sky, then it entered into the body of Krishna. So here this answers this. When Mother Devati says Bhakti devotional service dissolve the subtle part of the living entity without separate effort, means when Krishna is killing anybody, demons, that means Krishna is not only killing their gross body, but Krishna also dissolving their subtle body. That means Krishna is killing their subtle body also. Krishna is killing the gross body, Krishna is killing the subtle body. We change after death of the body because of our subtle body still remains. In the 15th chapter, Krishna says in the 5-6 verses, Krishna says that like the air carries the aroma, the same way the soul carries its desire to another body. That verse is a very nice verse is that. So Krishna says that the same way here, Mother Devati, she had got, see, our knowledge we can see here is that it is not that she is ignorant, she is fully aware. This verse is spoken by her. Bhakti devotional service dissolve the subtle body of the living entity without separate effort, just as the fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. So Krishna, actually, when he kills the subtle body also. The same way, devotional service to the Lord is non-different from the Lord. Is non-different from the Lord. When we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, automatically by default, it also dissolves our subtle body. That means we will not have any material desire other than serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let me just go through balance, not many shlokas. So here, when we say about the desire of the conditioned living entity, the Lord is saying the condition of the devotee says, thus because he is completely absorbed in thought of me, the devotee does not desire even the highest benedict obtainable in the upper planetary system, including Satyaloka. He does not desire the 8 material perfections obtained from mystic yoga, nor does he desire to be elevated to the kingdom of God. So if anybody want to understand, those who are hearing this class more about this, please go to Damodarashtakam. One of the verses, Satyavrata Muni also praying the same thing, that I don't desire in Vaikuntha everything. There's very nice verses there. And then, but Krishna, Lord Kapil, yet even without desiring them, the devotee enjoys even in this life all offered benedictions. So I'll just take the last verse. Yeah, these two are the last verses. The yogis equipped with the transcendental knowledge and renunciation and engage in devotional service for their eternal benefit take shelter of my lotus feet. And since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Praja Aham Tam Sarvabhape Moksha Ishayami Masuchaha. Do not fear, Prabhupada translated that Masucha. So here, the yogis equipped with the transcendental knowledge and renunciation and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit take shelter of and notice it. So here, Lord Kapila is stressing the point how much important it is that we should surrender to Krishna. And whenever we come across these shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam, irrespective of our advancement in spiritual life, we feel so much, not materially, transcendentally happy and bliss that at least we are exposed to this kind of knowledge and exposed to chanting the holy name of the Lord in whatever state it may be. We may be Kanishta Adhikari, we may be Madhyam Adhikari, we may definitely not Uttam Adhikari, and we may be chanting in the Nam Aparada stage, or Shuddha Nama is still far, or Nam Aparada, and in between there is in between one more stage is there. Nama Bhasha. Hare Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Nama Bhasha. So whatever stage we are chanting, but the moment we come across this shlokas in Srimad Bhagavatam, and if we are fortunate to hear this shlokas in our ear or reading, then we can understand that our journey to spiritual world is not too far. And this is the conclusion for today. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. That is the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life. So here, Lord Kapila is stressing the importance of devotional service. So first we started with the material desire to come out, then material existence. Then we started with the importance of the sadhus, that they can cut the knot, and then the worship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now he says that is the only means for our disconnection with the material existence for liberation. Hare Krishna. So that's how that sequence discussed. Now we will going further to more. Now the next subject which Lord Kapila will be discussing about the material existence, material creation, and not exactly creation from the point of creation, but the knowledge of the material existence and how strong it is binding to the living entity. Hare Krishna. So with that, I will conclude today's session. Next session will be the last session for understanding the previous covered chapters. As today we will be only discussing about the next chapter. Next class will be taking 26, 27, 28, 29, 4 chapters. Only important shlokas that gives the essence. Like today's essence was how to come out of the material attachment, and what we need to do. Devotional service, the importance of sadhus, importance of serving Lord Shri Krishna, relation between the devotee and the Lord. And that the material desires within us is so deep, like an abyss, like a bottomless pit. So we understood that. So next, material existence, and finally we will conclude the Sankhya philosophy, praying that we will be purified by this knowledge, and our devotional service to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna and our Guru Bhakti will advance without any hindrance. Hare Krishna. With that, I conclude. In the prayer that this session of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are hearing, that those devotees are sincerely hearing, Lord Purushottama, bless them, purify their mind and senses, and engages them in their devotional service. And ultimately, after finishing this present material body, the Lord will take directly to their service, to His service. Hare Krishna. And I thank the temple management, the president team, and the management committee for giving this opportunity. At least for me, it gives a chance to read these shlokas and purify myself. And that purification is a long way to go. Hare Krishna. Please bless me. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Kirtanesh Prabhu, back to your Varad Gopal Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Can we take some questions?
Yeah, if devotees have any questions, if you can answer, yes, Prabhu, sure.
If any devotees would like to ask any questions, otherwise I have got 2 questions to clarify.
Prabhuji, can I ask?
Haribol.
Yeah. Prabhu has given the platform to ask, but he has not, I don't know whether answered or let's see. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, the concluding shloka, total whole of the narration was very nice. Nicely you brought how the association and then finally ending with the devotional service, which makes us perfection of the life. In the last shloka, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
It is said, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. But is there a chance of a devotee like me still, that Tivrena Bhakti Yogena is just a mirage for me. So, how people like us, people like me, will have solace that, okay, some hope is there for, for people like me.
Yeah. Actually, Prabhu, see, now your question is directed towards Tivrena Bhakti. That means you are counting something on your endeavor, right? That I must do it. How can I do it? Can I do it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will read this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam-SB chapter 18, 14th verse. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratak vidam vividasya pratak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors for action. And I was hearing one lecture about Jiva Kartrutva. That means whether the living entity is the actual doer or no. Because we say, what is the conflict here is that we say everything is done by the Lord. If everything is done by the Lord, then what we do? Or are we do the doer? Or in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriyamani Gunai Karmina Sarvasa, Krishna says the material nature is doing everything. So your question is because Tivra Bhakti, will I be able to do, or it is long for me that I will never imagine. That questions actually puts us in a place, I would say plainly that we have identified ourselves thinking that we are the doer, that I need to do it for perfection. Whereas I would look from the another perspective. There may be many answers, but one of the answer is that when we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, it's better to develop a mood saying that this devotional service belongs to Krishna because we are doing for his pleasure. So how much he empowers for me to do, let me do that. Whether it is in a mild, whether it is in a strong, whatever it is. But what my Guru has given me to do, let me do that. That sincerity itself is my Tivrena. Okay. I would answer like that. Because there are 5 factors Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The body. That means the body means, for example, today I am sick. And my body doesn't allow me to do the sadhana. This is one. I'm just giving the body. The performer. That means performer means the living entity, Jiva. Whether even after giving a strong body with all the senses in the perfect condition, am I using that to the service of the Lord? Then various senses, my senses, like what do I choose to serve the Lord or sense gratification? Many different kinds of endeavor. What is my real endeavor? The devotional service for my own perfection or devotional service for the pleasure of the Guru and Gauranga. See, sometimes, as we know, we may have own desire to achieve something, but that may not be the desire of our Guru and Krishna. I don't go to elaboration about this, but you can understand what I mean.
Yes.
And then ultimate super soul. Ultimate super soul, that means the section of the Supreme Lord, super soul should be there for ultimate success. For example, if you remember, in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think it was Prithu Maharaj who was doing the 99 sacrifice, then he wanted to do the 100th sacrifice, where Indra was stealing the horse.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Gopichan, do you remember this?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
And then the Lord appears, says, no problem, you don't have to do. You perfected this, you want without doing the 100.
Yes.
So, our sincerity should be like, we should be honest in our endeavor. We know that, I'm speaking from this answer, I'm speaking from a very practical point. I myself know my incapability. I myself know my how much purified I am to serve the Lord. But that doesn't mean for me to stop serving the Lord. My endeavor, my effort should be more and more. Whether I am successful in achieving it, what I am supposed to achieve, leave to the Lord to take care. But my endeavor should be very sincere. I would put that answer here. The sincere is the amount of sincere is the amount of Tivra Bhakti Yoga.
Very well.
To give that, second chapter 40th, Neha Bhikam Nashwasti Pratyavayan Vidhi Swalpanas Dharmas Trayate Mahato Bhaya.
Very well. Very well.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Vandana. You said two questions or one question?
This was only one question. Kirtanesh Krishna Prabhuji
Hare
said that he has two questions.
Yeah, but
Hare-
Kirtanja Prabhu, what I would
Hare-
request those who want to leave because the time is 9 o'clock, those who want to leave, we can tell them, but we can continue this chat, no problem. I am
Yeah,
no problem.
So that case, then I will do first the announcement is that we request all the devotees, tomorrow being the Friday, so we request all the devotees to come and participate in Japa session. Starts at 4:30 and it continues until 6:30. We have the Darshan Arti, and tomorrow morning 8 o'clock Srimad Bhagavatam class will be given by His Holiness Bhakti Vigna Vinash Narsingh Swami Maharaj. And we have another special class in the evening at 6 p.m. by His Grace Arjun Sakadas Prabhu. I think is the brother of Amrendra Das Prabhuji. So, and also we have so many other language classes. I think but I don't have the information for that. But we have one information about Bhakti Shastri, the new unit on Ishopanishad. It starts at 10 a.m. to 11:30. So those devotees who are enrolled, please kindly note the time. It's from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So that's it for now for the announcement. Correction.
Yes, Prabhu.
The two questions. The first one is the Mother Devavati was lamenting because she was having the desire to have a son. But why my mother should be lamenting? Because to have a son, is it something bad? It's not a material desire, isn't it? To have a son. That is my first question. So the second question is about this. Okay, let us discuss the first one, bro. Yes, bro. One.
See, this is the dilemma there. When we read Srimad Bhagavatam, for me also this is a dilemma. Because actually, how is it possible that Mother Devavati, who knew that the Supreme Lord will appear, that she will lament for something desire? But here, there is one verse which comes earlier with Kardama Muni. See, Kardama Muni, if you remember in the last class we discussed, when Kardama Muni was praying to the Lord, he says, when one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, when he pleases the Lord, and when the Lord appears, if anybody is asking for material benediction, then it is not very intelligent. You remember this?
Yes, I remember.
The last class was number one. Number two, when the Lord himself appeared to Mother Devaki and was in their original form. What is that name? Their original. What is that? In the the first.
Vishnu and Sakarupa.
No. Before that, when there are that is
Sutapa and
No, that is Krishna Garba. No, there is another name is there. Their name. What is their original name? Dara, and there is name, no? There is another name is Bhagavatam before that. So when they were, there is two names we can check. In that session of Bhagavatam also, the Lord, when he appears there, that they wanted the Lord to be in three births. That's why that Prashnikara became then Vanadeva second, and then the third, Vasudeva Devaki third. But before Prishnikara also there is Dara and one more name is there. So when the Lord appeared to them by their authority, then the Lord says, now I have appeared and you are desiring children. He says, this is not very, even though they are asking the Lord to come, same like you, but Lord says that this is not very intelligent as because when I am there for something else. Actually, what we fail to understand here is that in the spiritual world, the Lord's pastime is as such, he may engage the devotees any way he wants. For example, take this example. Mother Dehavati is actually asking for a son. Now, go back to Vrajadam. In Vrajadam, when Krishna manifested himself as the cows or the cowherd boys, by naturally become their son. Correct? He fulfilled that desire as a parent. Now, here, Mother Dev, why she is lamenting that? She says their words, that even after associating with a pure devotee like husband, like you, Kardama Muni, still I have for the desire, whether it is a Lord or no, that what it says, if I can get perfection now, why I should go to this process at all? It is, I mean, we can understand only this much. I may not be directly replying your answer because even for me, it's a dilemma. How when for example, once I was hearing Radhanath Maharaj class, this may be a better answer. I was hearing Radhanath Maharaj class, and Radhanath Maharaj was giving he was asking this question that when Mother Devaki and Vasudeva, they knew that Kamsa is going to kill all the children, and practically they have seen that when the first child was killed, then why Mother Devaki and Vasudeva decide to have children further? Because he is going to kill. Is it considered something like material attachment? There he answers that because they were waiting, because they had the prophecy, they are waiting that Krishna is going to appear as the 8th child. To get the Lord, they were getting the children. To get the Lord, they were getting the children. The same way here, Mother Devati also position could be the same. She knew that the Lord is going to appear as her son. So why she should lament? But here, what we understand, every child will not be in marriage. For example, what we should get here that first of all, for ordinary souls like that, the Lord will not. The Lord may not be taking birth. The Lord will be taking of the great souls only, Mahatmas only, and also in the Mother Devaki's pastime we understand. Also there, if the Lord has to take a jiva as his mother, they should be non-different like him. They should be non-different. Externally they may be middle, but they should be non-different in the position, because the Lord will not take any ordinary jiva to take birth. It's not possible. And particularly here in Kardama and Devati's case, it is clearly understood from the Manu, we understand when he created, that the child has to be born by the semen. That is why first Lord Kapila enters into the body of Kardama Muni, then Mother Devati gets. So here, lamentation here basically means that what we can understand a lamentation is that one should not desire anything in this middle world than going back to Godhead. I can only come to that conclusion. We should not desire anything which is attached to the body, simply go back to Godhead. This is only, I could explain it, but I don't know whether you're convinced with that. No, we can, further tomorrow morning also we can ask this answer, question to Maharaj. We should not have any desire as such which is connected to the body, except devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, the second question is, Prabhu, if you don't mind to take the slide 33, sloka number 33, Prabhu.
Yeah, 1 minute. I can, yes. Bhakti dissolves subtle body of the living without separate effort, just as fire in the stomach digests all. Yes, Prabhu, what is the question?
Prabhu, the question is, Prabhu, just before the 33, Prabhuji you were mentioning that Aghasura and Sisupala, when they have been killed by Lord Krishna, Krishna kills not only the material body, also he kills the subtle body also.
Correct, yes.
But now in the 33 verse it says bhakti or devotional service only dissolves the subtle body.
Yeah.
But do they, Aghasura and Shishupala, are they doing any? They did any devotional service? How come their subtle body has got dissolved?
Very nice. No, here, no, there are two things. See, you have three elements that will give you liberation. One is the devotees, right? Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyaj paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo, correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Number two.
Yes.
Number one. This is number one. Number two, devotional service. When you engage in the devotion, the bhakti, which is said here. Number three, the Lord himself can give liberation. No. For example, if you go to the Aghasura's pastime, you can go through there. What it mentions there, that Aghasura being a demon, how could he get liberation? It's there. This question is answered there. It could be one of the questions raised by either Vishwanath Chakra Thakura or Baladevi, one of them. It is, but in the purport, it may not be in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it will be definitely in the Krishna book is there. So that question is answered there. When Lord Shri Krishna entered into the mouth of Aghasura, then what happened? Because of Krishna's entrance to the mouth, the whole body of Krishna, Aghasura becomes transcendental. It's purified of all the contamination. So his body was purified because the Krishna was there. So it's mentioned there, his body was totally purified. So it means here, but bhakti devotional service means it's not only bhakti, even a Vaishnava, if he desires, he can liberate anybody without doing devotional service. Like Narada become the cause of liberation for Nalakura and Manigara without their even engaged in devotional service, even though they were in the body of the tree. A sadhu can liberate. One example. And then devotional service, of course, one engaged devotional. And the third is Krishna. When he desires, he can give liberation to anybody. There is, he doesn't have any discrimination. Samaham sarvabhute namedeshatana priya. He doesn't see when is qualified or not. That is the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did not see who is qualified, who is not qualified. If he desired, he could give liberation. Like Jagai Mata, he can ask the same question. Why Jagai and Mata were liberated? They were not the devotees. They were greatest sinners. So here the question comes into the answer to your question is into the will of the Lord. It is not the process which, it's will of the Lord. It's not the process which is in this 33. The process is explained for liberation. But your question is, your answer to your question is the will of the Lord, will of the Vaishnavas, both. They are nothing to do with the qualification of a devotee, of a jiva.
Okay.
Is it convincing, Prabhuji?
Yes, bro. It's right. Yes, bro. Okay.
Yeah,
Correct.
but in Aghasura's case, it is purified. And in Shishupala's case, if the same example, in Shishupala's case, they were predestined to take the material body, but they were destined to go back to Godhead. That is why Krishna has to liberate them. Jaya Vijaya, no.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were destined to go. That's why.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope I satisfied. But anyway, we need Guru and Krishna's mercy to understand the subject, because it's not because I speak that I can answer all the questions. But at least when you ask questions, maybe I can also learn a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prabhuji, you said that people can leave, but nobody left. Everybody is there to listen. That is the glory of Prabhuji's class.
No. That is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam and Guru and Krishna's mercy. Haribol. So next class we will have the summary for 4 chapters. Very important things we will take as an essence. Then what is covered in this chapter, I'll just write the bullets at the end. That this is the essence. Because all the subjects is it's very detailed subject, but our essence is we will discuss at the end and we conclude. Then other devotees can continue the shlokas. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.